Hey, welcome to my last 3 brain cells. The only ones I got, and if I lose them, I'm pretty well fucked.
I'm here, Marcus.
I'm Max, and
I'm Keegan.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's about accurate there. I'm just a boring ass white dude who plays rugby, used to, and does a lot of lifting shit.
I just graduated with a degree in biochemistry,
Nerd.
but I mostly just got my head hit a lot in sports. I just got my shoulder fixed. I got 5 millimeters off the end of my collarbone removed, and they wouldn't give it to me in a jar, so I was a little mad about that, but we're figuring out what's going on. Applied to a PhD program today, so that's exciting.
Does that stand for personal health donuts?
Personal health Dickens,
okay.
like the writer.
Yes.
It's Dickskin.
I'm Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
I also
That's
just
better.
graduated, but with like a less impressive sounding degree. And I also played the sport of rugby. The first brain cell dude, Max, I believe I attributed to my concussion, so I'm gonna blame that on him after bouncing off his chest. So yeah. Awesome.
Good thing is, I probably had a concussion at the time and don't remember it.
Marcus, in your defense, you might have the least impressive degree,
Oh, thank you.
but you have the
How
most
sweet of you.
impressive katukas.
I guess.
And the
Gotta
most
try.
impressive concussion.
Okay. So last week, and the one that we decided what we were going to talk about this week, we decided that we're going to talk about why Jeremy Wade is a fucking dork. We're going to compare the New Deal with the Green New Deal. Marcus, that's on you. I hope you're ready with your history degree. And then Max wanted to talk about spaghetti wrestling.
Oh, and it's gonna be a fucking banger. I got a hell of a pitch for you for fucking
excited.
sketty wrestling.
I'm excited. Do you want to start it off if you're so excited?
No, I think I can like simmer and
Wanna
just
end with
build
that?
throughout the episode. I think we want to go out in a banger.
Okay, I'll start with mine then because this is a formative moment that I got to be mad at. Do you guys remember the show River Monsters?
I fucking love River Monsters.
River Monsters, it was
Great
super
show.
fun, right? Did you ever watch River Monsters, Marcus?
No, I fucking
Yeah.
watched it.
So,
Are you just
like,
saying yeah to
Jeremy?
fit in? Are you just conforming?
I don't fucking know
Think
what
for
You know what an
yourself,
arapaima
Marcus.
is? Tell me what an
I'm not a big
arapaima is.
That was in River
I mean-
Monsters a bunch of times, so this
Wow.
There's
isn't
an,
new.
easy, there's an easy answer. It's a fish.
Yeah, it's the running theme. Either way, so Jeremy Wade, in his infinite wisdom and his biology degree that he apparently has, is traveling the world catching various large fishes of a variety of species. And he goes and he's like trying to catch them all freshwater. He talks about like all this shit, whatever. But I like realized that he doesn't know shit about dick about fishing. And I have 3 examples for why that's true. So you guys remember, these were 3 big episodes. He went to Chernobyl to catch the radioactive catfish. He caught that Goliath tigerfish in the Congo. It was a big, like brought it into camp and I was all excited. And then he went to Lake of the Woods in Minnesota, my home state.
Oh,
And he
Minnesota up
caught-
there.
Oh, Minnesota way up there, eh? But
Fucking Land
But he
O'Lakes butter,
tried-
eh, boys?
but he tried to catch a muskie and he couldn't do it for like weeks. He couldn't figure it out. So that's what I'm gonna start with. So I worked on Lake of the Woods. I spent a lot of time up there. I spent like 2 big summers, and like you go up there to catch a muskie, you can catch a muskie. It's a non-issue. You just catch them. They're everywhere. You catch them by accident. They're all over the place. And like, yeah, you might not catch a massive one that's great for TV, but you can catch them. And he went up prime season and couldn't catch one to save his life for like weeks. And so he's up there, he's doing all the like luck dances and all that jazz, and he ends up going fishing for walleyes one day because he's bored, and he like catches one on accident, and that's the episode. People go out and hire a guide and go out and catch 3 a day or catch 10 a week, like pretty routine to catch 1 or 2 a day. But he couldn't catch one for weeks on weeks and weeks, and then he caught one by accident. So he doesn't know dick. Example A. Example B. He goes to Chernobyl and he's like, oh, we're trying to catch catfish, but we're in Chernobyl and I'm here to fish. I'm going to fish around. So he starts throwing like spinner baits and like swim baits to catch something. And he catches a bunch of these walleyes. They're called Xander. But he's like catching these Xander and then he snags a catfish. So he's like fighting it and he's all excited about bringing it in. And he doesn't get it in. But then, like, the next 20, 30 minutes of this 50-minute episode is him trying to catch another catfish with a swim bait, which is not how you do that. He's like, I caught one. Maybe the radiation made them more aggressive, all dramatic. Oh, TV. Oh, ah, ooh. But he's just, like catching these Xanders hand over fist. He's the first person to fish there for, like, 30 years. And then he, like, at the last 10 minutes of the episode, they go to a different spot. He fishes for catfish, like you're supposed to, and he catches one, like, immediately. And that's done. That's the episode. Okay, so that's example B of him being dramatic for TV for no reason. You're like, what the hell? Then the cherry on top, example C, is the Goliath tigerfish. So he goes to the Congo, and he's there. And he's, like, had this run-in with malaria, and he's all being careful about it. And these Goliath tigerfish like eat people or whatever. But they're these big apex predators. They got the eyes the size of like golf balls in their heads, and these big fish are optical predators. And he's just like fishing for them like they're catfish. He's just sitting there with a big lump of meat on the bottom of a giant river, wondering why he's not catching the thing that chases live fish. And then eventually, in the last 5 minutes of the episode, he straps on a live fish and lets it go. First fish he catches is this giant tigerfish. So it's just like him like messing around and like being intentionally dense for 45 minutes. Then they catch the fish and then it's like, we caught it. And then that's the episode.
So it sounds like you more have an issue with the programming and the show structure than you actually do as him as a fisherman. Because it sounds like he can fish and he can catch what fish he wants when he wants to catch them.
But
It's
it
just
takes
they need 40
weeks.
minutes of drama for 10 minutes of action.
This is true. And I thought about that counterpoint. So there was another show called Monster Fish with Zeb Hogan. And he would fish for fish the correct way. So he would be like fishing and he would just go to the place and fish the right way for whatever he was fishing for and catch like 100 of them. Like he would go and be like, we're going to catch a bull shark today. And then all they would catch was bull sharks. We'd go, we're going to catch an arapaima. And they would just like catch an arapaima. And then he was like an actual biologist and he talked about all this cool biology stuff. But because it wasn't dramatic, it was like terrible TV. So I guess I don't know if I'm mad at Jeremy Wade. I'm mad at like the commercialization of fishing. But either way, Jeremy Wade's a dork. So
the programming with Jeremy Wade's show though was more. It was supposed to be about the adventure. It was supposed to build up to catching the fish. He's doing all this research. He's throwing his line out. He's finding it. He's probing different parts of the river. He hires his guide. He goes there. He sees what it's about. And then finally on the last day, the last hour, the last minute, he pulls out the fish he was looking for this starting realization, and he gets to see it. And that's the show. It's TV. It's not about fishing. It's about the journey of him fishing.
But it's on Animal Planet. The whole point is animals.
And there are animals.
Not British dude gets malaria.
I mean, keep in mind, this is a British dude that grew up in India being a proper young English lad who got sent there because he could just do whatever the fuck he wanted because it was India, and he just fished all the time because his parents are super rich. Like,
I can't argue with that assessment.
No, it sounds like a fun childhood.
It still grinds my gonads.
What?
You know what really grinds my gonads?
Jeremy Wade being all dramatic.
No.
Nothing off that one, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, like,
He's still trying to figure out
so
what
confused for the last 10 minutes. No,
Google it. Is this the first thing we're gonna pull up as a group? Is Arapaima? We can look at it because you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, hello.
He's just embarrassed to admit he doesn't know how Google works.
This is even like Jeremy Wade right here.
Hold on. Ooh.
I can show you the man of the 15 minutes or whatever. Yeah. You just share it. Yeah, there's Jeremy
Pull
Wade
up,
with an Arapaima.
bitch. Oh, there it is.
Dude,
Yeah.
you don't need to Google it.
Now you
just
know what an
gotta
I
type
mean-
Arapaima is.
Yeah. So for everyone who's listening, we don't do video because that requires more technology than we are equipped to provide. But we are
It's
simply
kind of like
showing
if you
Marcus
had,
what
like,
an Arapaima looks like.
Yeah, it's like a big fish, but like if you had like
Spoiler, it's a big
one
fish.
of those, I'm trying
Yeah.
to think. Yeah, it's kind of like a carp, but like the body kind of
It's a big
reminds me
carp
of like
with a
those
small
like
head.
thick, skinny like worms. I don't know if that's not helping at all. I know. Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
You have a way
Thick,
with
skinny.
words, Marcus.
Thick,
You have a way
skinny.
with words.
They definitely are.
Is this what plus size models
Um,
are calling themselves now?
Are we gonna get political with this? What are we talking about, Max? You can't bring that up.
I'm a thick, skinny model.
Yeah.
It's fine if you spell it with C's.
Oh.
Marcus, you wanna enlighten
Okay.
us with your understanding of
This is gonna
the
be
Green New
this is
Deal
gonna be
and
interesting. Not
the
really.
New Deal?
It's gonna be
What,
very
Max?
kind of like dry, but I'm gonna go through it quick. We'll see how this goes. I'll use this as practice as a potential like. Not that
Shouldn't be too long. It's only 5
No,
pages.
no, yeah. The resolution is 14 pages.
It's a resolution. It's
But
not even
okay.
a bill.
Yeah, you
Oh, what the
fucking
heck, Max?
fuck.
You don't even know how many pages are in this
You did more
resolution.
homework than me.
I mean, I read it like an hour ago.
But anyways,
That counts.
I've also...
I don't know.
I'll strengthen
Alright,
my 6-pack
so
in that
anyways,
time, but...
I'm gonna give you like a brief
Not mentioned
summary
now.
of both of them and how and why they're kind of important for like what time period is. So I'm gonna go over the first one. Oh boy, is the New Deal, which was enacted by FDR during 1935. Because this was kind of I would consider this expansionary fiscal policy. I think that makes sense. But anyways, during the year of 1935, there was a little thing called the Great Depression going on. Oh my God, words. So unemployment was up to about 25% roughly throughout this duration, and it was an effort to expand the economy by offering construction jobs throughout the whole of the United States, building projects, and not only was it focused on building buildings and parks and everything else like that, but it also helped create different departments, and it even helped with social security, so that you would have money building up over time. I don't know how social security works exactly, but you pay into it and then go on.
Was it? But like Social
Yeah.
Security this was when it was like released.
So
was
anyways, you
during
pay
this
into it, and
set
over
of
time, you
legislation.
eventually
Right,
get
okay.
some money. So you're not totally fucked if you're 60 and you're out of a job. What else do I have on here? So like things such as the Federal Emergency Relief Administration was founded as well. And then in Stevens Point, where we're kind of familiar with, we all went to school here. There's a couple centralized, yeah, sure. There's been a couple of buildings and like
Centralized.
parks would have been created from this act, would allows construction workers like build these places for money, obviously, so they have a job and can provide for their family, which the federal government is helping them, like, build these and pay for their shit. Anyways, so Gerke Park, which is like a stadium, like a local stadium with football and like soccer fields, what are there? That was built during this time. Iverson Park, which is like a bigger park, at least in like Stevens Point, which is like well known in the area, was created. And P.J. Jacobs Middle School was also created. And then statewide, or I should say nationwide, the Municipal City Building in Champaign, Illinois, as well as Austin, Texas, were created. There were a bunch of like hokey pokey, like small town, like municipal centers and stuff like that, but no one gives a shit about those.
Did they build a ton of
Probably.
Didn't they build a ton of post offices? That was a big part of it.
It
Like they
was a
put a
lot of
post
Yeah,
just
office
to
general
every
help
public
town.
like
buildings.
provide
Yeah,
jobs
just
for
municipal
people in
works
need.
buildings.
So yeah, basically, it's a giant act. What helps people get on their feet by doing manual labor and other things. Obviously, administration jobs as well with like Social Security and stuff like that to help stimulate the economy um, by providing these workers with jobs and money through the federal government. And then the Green Deal plan is
So just real quickly on the New Deal part, like the big part, like the important part to remember of it is the 3 R's from the first act of the New Deal, because the New Deal was taking place in 2 parts. You had the fucking from I think it was 36, 37, and 38 to 39. I think it was 35 to 36 and 37 to 38. I might be wrong. But the 3 R's, relief, recovery, and reform, were the goals of the first part of the New Deal. They wanted to provide immediate relief to those that were most stricken by poverty, that were affected the most by the downturn of the stock market and the banks and the bank runs and stuff. So like people just being straight out of cash, and fucking farmers who have just millions of dollars worth of excess crops saved up that are just fucking rotting in the fields because they can't sell them because it's just too cheap to even be worth bringing to market. Recovery in a way that they're trying to change, well, not change, but they're trying to actually recover from the downturn and the depression that they were going through, and start putting money back, and you're starting to see stuff turn around, right? And then reform, they're trying to change stuff. So like the SEC was created during this time, and you have Social Security stuff, the Social Security Act, and they're trying to change this so
I
that way
think
stuff like this never happens again.
Wasn't a big part of it that FDR didn't want to just give shit out. He didn't want to
Yeah.
just throw money at things and throw money at people. He wanted to give people a job and build infrastructure and
Yep.
like we want to put money into the ground and make stuff here, and in the process we
Yep.
pay people and reboost the economy. Okay.
I think one of the big issues was that they were afraid of the American people being too prideful and were unwilling to take handouts. And so instead of giving them handouts, they tried to give them a way that they could take the money in a fair manner.
Wasn't
I
a
think.
big thing too called like it was like the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority. I remember that from like high school.
Yep.
And they just like built
Yeah.
dams and then like brought electricity to like most of the like there's like 5 or 6 states.
Yep.
It's like Tennessee and like all surrounding states or something, like they all got power from that.
So the TVA still exists today, and they do virtually the same thing. But the TVA was basically a localized version of the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, and like the WPA and stuff. So like a lot of the buildings that we see in Point that were made from that time, PG Jacobs, the outbuildings at Iverson, Gerke and stuff. That stuff was made by like organizations like the CCC. They're the ones that provided most of the funding and got people built.
So
that's why they all look the same.
That actually sounds familiar.
Let's give it back to Marcus.
Because I
Green New
remember
Deal.
in like U.S. history from 1877 till now. In college, they said something like that too. They talked about the CCC and like local buildings such as that. I also think, it was one of the poli sci classes I took too,
It's not important. They don't cover any useful information.
Hitler.
It's not like college was worth anything.
Right. Fucking chumps.
Who the fuck would get a poli sci degree?
Whatever. Some other professor brought that up too. But yeah.
Fucking nerds.
And then
that's it.
the Green New Deal is to kind of address a big struggle, which is climate change. Which ever since, obviously every okay, so with the ever so increasing amount of technology, we have an impact on the environment. Obviously, things such as the Industrial Revolution, which started in England and then which expanded from England to France, built like the Highlands, all the way to Germany, and all these other countries had a traumatic effect on.
Is that like Highlander, where there can be only one?
All I'm hearing from this is that climate change is Britain's fault and they need to fix it.
So yeah.
Bring back William Wallace, 2020.
Okay,
What?
yeah.
2024.
Who the fuck is his running mate then? Who's another Scotsman we could talk like vote for that with? Mel Gibson. He's Australian, but yeah, good enough.
Mel
I
Gibson.
know. Stuart Hogg. No. Anyways, so it's to focus on this like generation's big problem, which is climate change. And throughout since like the Industrial Revolution, it's been expanding like at a exponent. Words. Thank you. Words. I had to go
Exponential.
to preschool for 2 years for my speech. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, they did not. Anyways, because
They
of
didn't do a really
that,
good job.
they started to like begin looking at climate change and how it would impact the environment, and that we are soon approaching a number of what would cause global changes, such as like the melting in the ice caps, and if the Earth warms up like 1 more degree Celsius, it's going to create massive floods.
So yeah, they have it. They have it as 2 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial averages, or pre-industrial temperature, and they said they don't want it to increase,
Also,
or it needs to stay like 1 to 1.5.
And I remember the number getting. I remember a number getting tossed around is that if we don't fundamentally change how we act on climate change in society, like emissions wise, we have like 12 years. Like the clock is ticking, and
anyways,
it's like 12 years or something
the
in
whole
that
stress
realm.
of the green plan is to emit zero carbon, like a zero carbon footprint. So everything is now renewable energy, and safe. So like obviously, like wind turbines and stuff like that. Obviously, just a bunch of that. So no more petroleum, no more gas-based natural gas. Like I was kind of saying before, we have to get rid of that entirely. And 2 of the people who pushed for this were AOC and Ed Mark. Yeah, well, so like the 2
It was a
main
squad.
prominent people who would like the audience would recognize would be Ed Markey, I think that's his name. But they're pushing for this resolution, and although this sounds great to push for like zero carbon footprint and everything, the downside is with this people who are in like fossil fuels, natural gases, and all those big companies would provide us with our resources and like energy right now, they would be losing their jobs. And that although that's good, I guess, because there's zero carbon footprint, which I'm going to stress, that creates a huge loss in a huge loss of employment for these people, and that could potentially ruin their lives. People could foreclose on their houses and stuff like that. Although it's kind of like the ends justify the means. So yes, a small portion of the population will be suffering because they lost their jobs, but new jobs will be opening in these cleaner, safer ways to provide us with sustainable energy. So that's basically the push. I also found out that there is something with COVID-19, and that there is like a response to COVID-19 with like financial aid or something like that. I didn't get too bogged down in that because that's another wormhole. Yeah.
That's not in the original bill. I mean, so as far as our discussion goes, like we brought this up because not because any of us wanted to take a political stance on the new Green New Deal, because I think that'd be a completely different conversation, but because we wanted to compare and contrast the New Deal versus the Green New Deal. And in order to do that, I think we need to expand the scope of the Green New Deal from just focusing on the climate change aspect of it into the rest of it, because although it is primarily pitched as the climate change like New Deal, there's so much more in it than just about climate change.
It's much more
like emission zero, like zero emission, carbon neutral type stuff is a very big portion of it, and it's supposed to be their driving moral factor for doing the rest of it. But there is much much more to it than just becoming like emissions, like zero emission and carbon neutral. They have a lot of uh, guaranteeing jobs to family sustainable wage, adequate family medical leave, paid vacation, retirement security, strength in protecting the right of all workers to organize, unionize, collectively bargain, strength enforcing labor rights,
Yeah.
enacting trade rules. I'm just skimming now.
Yeah.
The consent of indigenous people for anything that affects their traditional territories, honoring treaties and agreements, ensuring commercial environment where every business person is free from unfair competition dominated by international monopolies, and providing all the people of the United States with high quality health care, affordable, safe, and adequate housing, economic security, and clean water, clean air, healthy and affordable, and access to nature. And that is the end of the document they have on Congress.gov. So I obviously skipped over a lot there, but I think it does go to show that there's a lot more to the Green New Deal than just the green part. And if we're going to try and compare and contrast the New Deal versus the Green New Deal, I think we need to focus more on that part than the carbon neutral part or the emissions green part, because I don't think we can do that too much.
I'd like to raise a comparison, a similarity between the two. So with the first New Deal, we talked a lot about, or we talked for a second. We didn't talk a lot about it because we're dorks, not smart. We didn't mention that we're not smart people. Just overall, yeah, that's the point. Was we're dumb dudes talking about smart
If you're
stuff.
here and you don't realize that we're stupid, that's your fault.
Yeah, we're just gonna let you know. This is not a. We're just trying to figure this out. Whatever. But either way, here's my comparison. Is in that first New Deal, they wanted to reform how things are done, how the economy works, and that's through the intelligent application of regulation and changing like, oh, you work for what you do, and this is how you do it, and they changed the system. And with this Green New Deal, it's not even a bill; it's a resolution. So they don't want to change one thing. They want to change how we look and how we make decisions moving forward. And they want to just make sure that everything lines up with our agreed. I don't want to say morality because it's a political thing. It's not necessarily right or wrong, but they want to push everything through this lens with the intention to do things kind of in their view the right way. And I would say that a lot of the things are kind of the right way.
That's definitely a statement of morality. I mean, anytime you start talking about individual right versus wrong type arguments, the right way, the wrong way, that is a morality statement that is going to vary from individual to individual, besides in very broad things.
Right. But I think overall, they want to change the system, make it better. And overall, it's a system level change, not an individual act.
So what I was gonna say then from there is that like you guys were saying, to reform, they're trying to push for like a greater security of a common goal or like a common like thing in life. So like to provide security for people despite incoming threats and stuff like that. To provide security that people's lives, way of living, won't be totally smashed or incapacitated. Yeah, let's go with incapacitated. So yeah, that's what it's like, kind of going for, like you were saying. And what I was like gonna say is like the reason why it's probably called the Green New Deal or Green Deal is because like it kind of invokes that sense of, like you guys were saying, it invokes a sense of like stability and like a sense of revision and hopes for providing a better future and more stability, like I'm saying, like I've been saying, sorry, the last couple sentences, for the people of the United States. Yes, words, good.
Words do
so
good.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reminiscent or like retrospective like name, I want to say.
Yeah, that is definitely the intent of the name of the bill, is to harken back to the New Deal and trying to get people to go, hey, remember this thing that was really good that FDR enacted, that Democrats really liked and helped sway the general population of America, so that the Democrats basically controlled all the House, the Senate, and the President for roughly 30 years, 40 years. Like that is definitely like that is the reason it is named the Green New Deal and not Climate
That
Change
doesn't sound
Reformation
as good
Act
at all.
number 69. Like
Yeah, it is.
The Green New Deal is really snappy, though.
I
It's
think
really
it's
snappy.
yeah, I think it's really important to bring up that the differences in the timings. And I will say that climate change is one of the bigger issues that our generation of politics is going to see, because there's going to be the arguments of I don't think anyone at this point denies that climate change exists. I don't even think the hardest, like, at least
Yeah.
in broader politics of what is generally
Yeah.
accepted, of elected positions.
There's a couple people that are always way out there that are like, oh, climate change is not real. But then you ask them if the Earth is round, and they
Thank
say,
you, in
oh, the evidence isn't in yet. And we'll be like, we
Yeah.
saw it from out there.
I would
But
say
you're not going to win those cases.
most politicians that are playing at the federal level aren't going to disagree at this point, because you're going to get voted out, because even most real hard
Oh, he has dogs, by
Guys,
the way, in case
go.
you're a dog.
Go away.
lover.
Go away.
My name is
Hey.
Max. I have 2 giant dogs, and I yell at them.
No, those
constantly.
are the kids I keep in my basement. Don't lie. But even most like really hard line, like real religious Republicans, I don't think at this point are going to be denying climate change at a federal level, at least federal
Yeah.
political level. But with that being said, it's not. So the comparison I was trying to make was that the New Deal happened at a point of incredible hardship and poverty in the United States. Whenever we were facing unemployment that was 20 to 25% of the working population, we were underutilizing our labor by a level of like 50%. Like it just destitute. And then there was also the Dust Bowl, and the United States was not able to just output food the way it was supposed to, and farmers, like the whole country was really fucked up. It was a really hard time, much harder than the past 10 years are. And I think that the comparison that contrasting that the New Deal happened in a time where we came from a time of extreme hardship. 1 second, guys, relax.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in, because like.
Well, let me put it all out.
Yeah, do it.
So, coming from a time where it is a reactionary thing, we are doing it because we need action right now, because people are actively dying from it. Not to say people aren't actively dying from climate change. I know there are islands in the Pacific that are being wiped out from rising sea levels and all that. But I would not say that the level of climate change stuff that we're going through right now is at the same level of like destitute that we were at whenever the New Deal was enacted. And I understand that part of the reason the Green New Deal was put forward is to prevent us from getting to that point. But I think that's an important thing whenever you start considering the level of social change that the New Deal brought about and the Green New Deal is trying to bring about.
It's way easier to extend a hand to someone that like is on the ground, like in a pit. You're like, hey, let's get out of this terrible situation that we're in, this Great Depression, the Great War, and like let's get out of this. And we can all agree that this is a bad thing. We can work off of this. We can use this as a jumping pad and grow into the greatest nation ever. But it's hard to get ahead of that hole and be like, hey, everybody, if we all decide to do this and this thing in 20 years, this thing won't happen. But if it works, nothing will happen. It'll be boring, and everyone will be like, it didn't work. But that's
especially whenever you look at when the metric for gauging the climate change stuff has changed so much over the past 50, 60 years, and oftentimes projections are put forward just concretely. They are put forward as this will happen in 10 years, and then it fails to happen. So people are not trusting the process because of what's happened. So as the process is refined and more accurate projections can be made, people will not look at it because they have a lower level of trust based off of failed projections made based on inaccurate science that was made before.
It's the same thing with all the COVID projections.
Yeah.
Like they might have been good projections, but like you can only account for so much, and then everything changed. The whole science changed. And now the projections are garbage because the world changed, but the projections didn't. And climate change has changed, or the climate science has changed so dramatically that they can't even make graphs that comprehend what is going on.
Well, and just
It's
as an
nuts.
example of that, like back in like the 50s and 60s, they thought we were headed into another ice age.
We
And
worked hard and got out of that one.
oh, thank God, we need to pump more carbon in the atmosphere, pull ourselves out of this
That's
ice age for good.
We did so great. Marcus,
So,
you're itching. Yeah, you go.
Marcus, do you have closing comments, Marcus?
I don't
Or
really
keep
have a
going.
whole lot of like.
Got time.
Come on, bud,
things to
you can
say.
do it.
Just like I was saying, takeaway. Okay, so
What's the takeaway from this whole thing?
fuck. Okay, so no, I fucking don't. Okay, so
You don't have a
takeaway
personal
is
life, Marcus. Don't
for
lie.
both reforms to try and provide stability for people in the up and coming years, and to try and fix what is going on currently or what people have gone on, like what's gone. Wow. What has happened in the past couple of years or whatever. So it's a reform. It's an attempt to change what's happening in the future and provide security for others and the entire population. Let's just say that in the near future. Let's say that obviously climate change is more precedent in the Green New Deal, but they both invoke the same thing of reform and providing security for a general population. There. I think that's the best way I'm going to be able to say it. So,
Is the green part in the title talking about like
it's actually talking about
the
marijuana.
environment and like that stuff?
That's why I attempt to accompany.
No, is it because AOC
Yeah,
secretly
definitely.
wants to bang the Jolly Green Giant, and this is just like
She's going to make
You
it.
should tell
This
Alex
is just like a
Jones
love
that.
poem
He'll
to
run
him?
off that.
I'd watch
Alex
that
Jones
for
will
him.
run with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen
I would
the
watch
video.
the Jolly
It's
Green
classic.
Giant bang
It's
AOC.
great.
Does he have a Jolly?
No, he's raw dogging that.
Does he have a
bitch.
Jolly Green Giant condom? So like a
Jesus
potato
Christ.
sack?
Perfect lead in.
Hey, can we talk about spaghetti wrestling?
Oh, we could talk about spaghetti wrestling. All right, boys. I sent you a couple videos, and I hope you watched them because if you
Oh my
didn't,
god,
this will have no fucking context.
it's amazing. I watched them both.
So,
Wait.
both. There's three of them.
Oh, hey, I watched the first one, the other when you said it. I watched the two you said today.
So, all right, this came up because last week I forget what we were talking about, but
Dumb sports, dumb and weird sports.
we were talking about fucking Honey Boo Boo and that bitch, but I forgot who it was. That's the mom I was talking about. It was Honey Boo Boo, Honey Boo Boo's mom. But that came up because Dumb and Weird Sports, Honey Boo Boo's little kid wrestling, sketty wrestling Cartman in South Park, made me think of sketty wrestling. And I decided to YouTube it because what else do you do when you think of dumb, obscure sports from South Park? And believe it or not, sketty wrestling is an actual fucking thing. People have put spaghetti in a pool and wrestled each other.
They don't even put like butter on it like a monster.
I don't think they put anything on it. One of them
No,
that was
it's just-
cold.
Yeah.
That wasn't even warm spaghetti.
It was a tiny pool too. It was two full-size people in like a tiny pool. It was a terrible situation.
So
it was awesome.
First we're going to start with my observations of sketty wrestling. First observation. It's never a very well-lit environment unless it's outside. And if
God
it's
doesn't wanna see
outside,
it.
there's a bunch of people around that are my type of people. Let's put it that way. Number two, it's always in a pool. I think that kind of makes sense because you got to have some way of containing the sketty.
It's practical.
Now, the pool size varies, which makes me think that the overall Spaghetti Wrestling Federation, the Worldwide Spaghetti Wrestling Federation hasn't standardized what pool size they need to use for official sketty wrestling matches yet, but I think it's coming. Sometimes I saw the little 4-foot kiddie pools, just waiting pools, and sometimes I saw 8-10 foot blow up pools for sketty wrestling.
There's one with tarps too that they didn't have a pool, but it was tarps.
Do you want a close proximity, kid pool or?
Just hold that thought, because first let me get through my observations, and then we're going to take an
Okay,
attempt
alright.
to standardize the sport.
Thanks for your attention.
This is amazing.
So, third observation. There's always spaghetti in the pool.
Are you
Weird.
sure it's not fettuccine?
Pretty obvious. Like, it kind of makes sense, right? But there's never too much spaghetti. No, I have not thought that. But I do have some ideas in that. But there's never too much spaghetti. There's always just enough to cover the bottom, but never enough to get in their way, which makes me think that the spaghetti is not the main point of these girls in bikinis wrestling in a pool. I would think that the main point is supposed to be the spaghetti. That's the draw to me. I don't know. Like,
Because
right.
you're always hungry, dude. You're always focused on getting those calories.
Yeah. So now this brings us to the actual match. I've always seen, like, a couple videos I saw, they seem to have a general theme. They would face the outside away from each other to start the match, and they'd either be in the sitting or standing position. Oftentimes, the sitting sometimes it was sitting, sometimes it was standing. I guess it depends on the local federation. I just don't know. On go, they would turn around and rush at each other, and they didn't really seem like trained grapplers. Like, they weren't real good. No Alexander Karelins in there. No fucking Bass Rutten. Like,
No,
they're not going. They're
no
not
Jordan
flipping
Burroughs out there.
No. They just kind of like stalk each other for a couple minutes, kind of afraid. Like, maybe they're unsure of their footing because, they're stepping on spaghetti. But they kind of just stalk each other, except for this one bitch who just went in. And then after like 30 seconds, 40 seconds of them like burning the period, I don't know how they didn't get a fucking stalling charge called on them, they'd finally rush each other, just kind of bear hug, and rock back and forth until one of them flipped the other one. It didn't seem to matter, though, because I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out a point system. There was no takedowns called. There was no reversals, no escapes.
That's interesting.
I think it was pin only.
It kind of reminds me of the game you used to play when you were a little kid. It's called like sumo, and it's just like king of the space. Like you just gotta push the other person out of the space.
Like king of the map?
Yeah, but there's no rules. You just gotta get the other person out of the area.
Out of the circle?
Yeah, that or pin them.
Yeah. So those are my immediate observations. So I want to put forward to you guys, what would we have to do? What would our standardizations be to make Worldwide Sketty Wrestling Federation?
Well, there's an important distinction because we mentioned both indoor and outdoor sketty wrestling, as you so eloquently put it. But I feel like you can accommodate both, but if you're going to be indoor, you have a smaller space, so you're going to have a larger spaghetti to square foot ratio. While if you're outside, you can have a much larger pool, but it's much harder to fill that space with spaghetti. So there's mostly pool /area /tarp to spaghetti ratio. But if we could standardize the ratio, whether you're indoors or outdoors, I feel like that would help.
So we all kind of grew up in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. I'm sure y'all had those friends that were kind of like on the wealthier side of being in town. You ever have the fucking friends that had the outdoor above ground pool?
Oh,
could we fill one of those with spaghetti?
Like fill it?
Like 5 foot deep of spaghetti. And then pay 2 people to wrestle in it.
Yeah, like how is that?
Could you?
That'd be a lot of spaghetti.
That's a lot of spaghetti.
I might have to run some calculations and see how much money we'd have. Like how much that spaghetti would cost.
We'll come back next week with that answer. That'd be a lot of spaghetti. Well,
after we have like a following instead of the Patreon.
Could you swim in that? Because then you're just underwater wrestling, but you can't see because you're in spaghetti. If you're under spaghetti, can you breathe? This is a whole different set of questions.
All right. So that's like the extreme league. Let's get back. So, okay. Right. Similar vein. What is the appropriate spaghetti ratio? How much spaghetti is too much spaghetti for wrestling?
How much spaghetti is too much?
Should it be a couple inches? Should there just be some spaghetti, just enough to make the floor slippery? Or should there be like a substantial amount of spaghetti?
It's like wrestling with spaghetti or spaghetti with wrestling? That's really the question.
I think that's a good question. I mean, I
Marcus,
like more spaghetti, but like, how practical is this? Also, is there gonna be like additional things in there to like really kind of like fuck with you, would you feel like okay?
Well,
Oh,
I
so
mean, I did see
we could
mashed
like mix
potato
it up
wrestling
too.
as well.
So should this be like a
Ooh.
food? No,
But
not like not the food
You can't mix
itself,
them
but like
together. You can't mix them
no.
together.
You ever
maybe.
had mashed potatoes and spaghetti?
Okay,
That
Oh,
sounds
hey, Mom,
terrible.
can you make me mashed
okay,
potatoes
okay.
and spaghetti?
Not like
That sounds
together,
like
but
the
like you could
worst.
have like a food league. So like you could have it.
It's like an Irish-Italian.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, like
Different
you
sides of the
have like
same bracket.
sketty in one, you have potatoes in the other, and then you could do like I don't know.
Okay, but how much sketty is too much sketty?
I would say more than 2 inches because with 2 inches you can cut. It's like sand
Yeah.
wrestling, or like where you can kind of dig into it at 2 inches. But if you get beyond that, then it's like then you're gonna sink
You're
into
also
it,
yeah.
and you're also gonna cut your spaghetti because
You're also
you're gonna
kind
be
of too slow then probably
Well,
because
the whole
like
thing's
you
weird.
know, you're like knee deep. So who gives a fuck about that?
But then you get your padding.
Well, they're doing it to themselves.
I don't want to hurt nobody.
They're doing
The
it to
people that do
themselves,
this are
though.
not
It's
well
like
trained. They
a
don't know how to
sign a waiver
protect
here thing.
themselves. Yeah, they
They're
signed
paid.
a waiver.
So
Yeah.
they're not-
They're mostly strippers on
Whatever.
crack anyway. Like, they're not going to feel it.
No, I had to elevate it.
I didn't
I had
say
to
that.
elevate it.
I didn't say that.
They're
I
going
just
to
said they're
college.
not. I said they're not going to feel it because of the
Very
amount of
smart.
drugs running through their system.
They're working to go to med school.
Okay.
These are the ones that are definitely not going to med school.
They
Do we
tell you
have
that,
to
and you're
know?
like, I
I mean,
don't think so,
obviously
but
this is-
I appreciate the effort.
Fuck. Subjective, but like, do we want like ugly chicks too, or like fatty versus two skinnies, or
Well, we're not taking
Okay, you just
people
want-
into this.
No.
I don't
This
care
is
if
real
it's two
sad. You
dudes
just
or two
want the
girls.
basic
This is
layers
a
of, like, how
formalized
much sketty,
competition.
how big it is, and then we can build from there. Okay.
I want to know how much sketty is too much sketty.
I would say beyond
That's
3 inches
fair.
is too much. I feel like 3 inches
I
is
would-
kind
I
of the top end.
I would agree.
I feel like the goal is kind of 2. I feel like 2
Yeah.
inches of spaghetti is an appropriate amount. Because then it's not too much, then it's not like in the way, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a very significant part of the situation.
Okay.
Very firmly.
Grasp it. Yep.
Yeah.
So then how big of a pool?
See if you're inside and outside, it changes.
I don't think it would.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think having a pool for this would change depending on whether you're inside or outside. Unless you're gonna like take an in-ground
how about,
pool
like-
and fill it with spaghetti, I don't think this changes.
Like a 20-foot pool.
and I don't think spaghetti and
like, is
chlorine
pretty
mix
standard
really well.
for like outside. What? Or is that just too much?
Oh my god,
Well,
Because,
like
like,
that
how
way
long
they
are
have
them?
like
Like
room
4
to
by
like
8?
throw each
That's
other
a lot of
around and,
spaghetti.
like not just
That's a
go
ton of
flying outside
spaghetti.
right away.
but they're just gonna spend the whole time
Okay,
running.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I
There
want
needs to be-
action.
Yeah.
If we could, in a perfect world, it'd be an octagon. Let's be honest here.
Yeah. He does have a point.
But like, I feel like if you
We can
could
make
get
this-
like, do you
I
want
would
if
say
you want
so,
it
yeah.
circular? At least kinda.
Yeah, it's got to be a pool. It's got to like remain
can't
true
be-
to its roots.
Right, but I think that there's value in the smaller pool because it forces activity. Because if you have too big of a pool, you need to
Yeah. Okay.
then you
that's
need to have
fair.
a ref
Okay.
installing calls.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
Like, you
My
need-
idea was okay. Ooh.
So
Team
I'm
Unless
thinking
you'd have,
maybe
like,
like
teams
Like
4
8 foot?
against 4.
Yeah. So
Well, that's an extension. But like, what
yeah,
do you
that's
mean
like
8 foot? You
linguini
mean, like-
wrestling
yeah, that's too much. That's worth this
fuck
whole
is
different
that?
discussion.
or like farfalle.
It's
fuck
different
off.
kinds of pasta.
Dude, no, I don't
Dude, you
fucking
work
look
at
at
Walmart. You
pasta
should know what
all
the
day.
different pastas are. It says on the bottom.
Old people who don't know how to use a phone. I guess.
Old people love pasta.
No, it's
should know
butter.
these
It's
things.
cocoa butter.
You putting ketchup on your hands?
Oh, I thought it was just butter. You monsters. Okay, so 2 inches, 2 inches on the bottom of the pool,
8 foot
but
pool?
like 8 feet deep.
No, like
Yeah.
8 foot diameter.
Oh, that would be a good size.
I think that'd be good. It gives them
Yeah.
enough room to move, but they're not really going to get a stalling.
Yeah.
Not too much spaghetti, like it's not cost prohibitive.
Yeah. I feel like there's that like family pool that you get at Walmart for like $30, but
No,
it's like 3 or 4 by like 6 or 8. I feel
that's
like
what
if
I
you could,
saw most of them in.
yeah, I feel like if you get the square footage off that, if you could match square footage in a circular pool, I feel like that'd be prime time.
All right, so we have the sketty ratio, we have the depth of the pool, we have the size, like diameter of the pool. How do they win? Like, do we want to do pin only? Should we allow submissions? Can they get a
I think
TKO?
I think pin or thrown from the ring. I think if like a push out, it carries value. There's at least a point associated with it.
I think
Basically,
that
just take
yeah.
sumo rules.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can swing that.
Do we have any rules about like moves? Like I kept seeing like illegal headlocks
Well, I mean,
and all this terrible, but like at the
no
same
fish
time, if
hooking, no eye gouging. I saw a
No
lot of
biting's
hair
a good one.
pulling. I don't know how I feel
yeah,
about that.
well biting, I feel like no biting.
No biting. Then
Yeah,
you definitely can't bite the spaghetti.
yeah. I
Like,
would
come
make the
on.
argument for no hair pulling.
No pissing in the pool.
Yeah, that's just outright bad.
Well, I mean, we're
Just
gonna take this. We have a great
And
opportunity to feed the spaghetti to homeless people.
that. What do you think goes up on the stripper like buffet? It's the spaghetti.
Watch Jasmine and Sapphire wrestle
yeah,
in spaghetti and then eat
people
it
can
from
get
the
off on that.
buffet after. This
That's
People
like
can
Saturday
get off.
only at
you gotta do it.
Dreams.
You gotta do it in the monster truck voice.
Cooked in Gamer Girl bathwater.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Eat stripper spaghetti.
Don't ask what the sauce is, but at least it's red.
Sounds chunky.
Jesus. I don't like that at all. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't like that one bit.
I think we've run our course on sketty wrestling.
Yeah, we can come back to how much it would cost to have that much spaghetti in a full in-ground pool next week. Good luck with that calculation.
That shouldn't be too hard. Most pots are about a gallon. All I gotta do is make a gallon of pasta and figure out how much it costs.
But like the actual like amount of like noodle, like you're gonna have to do experiments, dude. I'm excited to hear your process.
I'm gonna go to Walmart. I'm going to buy probably $15 worth of spaghetti. And I'm gonna buy a gallon pot. And I'm going to cook spaghetti until it fills up the pot.
I believe. So we're kind of at the point where we got to decide what we want to talk about next week. So Max, I think you have your decision made for you at this
I
point.
started reading a great book this week, actually.
I want to
It's
talk about
called
the
the
book.
it's called The Drunken Botanist. And it is this person who's going through from a botanist perspective and is going through alphabetically through the most common ingredients in history that we use to make alcohol out of. And there's a bunch of recipes included in it. And it's really interesting. And I'd love to pick a recipe or one of the ingredients. Like I just finished reading about apples today and how cider was one of them. Like, did you know that every apple is like apple seeds are completely different from the like tree that gave them life? So like if you have like a Honeycrisp apple and you take the seed from a Honeycrisp apple and put it in the ground and grow a tree, it's
Who's
not
the
going to be a Honeycrisp.
author
It's
on
going to be a
this?
completely unique type of apple. Some drunk bitch. I don't
Scotch
know.
bitch.
Her last name's Stewart. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool book so far. I would love to talk about that. Otherwise, I'm definitely going to find out how much spaghetti is going to fill a normal above ground family of 4 double wide trailer pool.
You just let us know at that one, and then just have your discussion about your book.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like fun. I gotta pull up the thing for all the topics, because I had to go to good ones. I want to talk about the idea that, and this kind of a leading question, is if the government is smart enough to keep a conspiracy theory, are they smart enough to perform other tasks like Medicare for all? But there's a whole discussion here: is it possible to keep one of these conspiracy theories a secret? Like, how many people do you need to be having involved that have to
Do you have
not
a
talk?
like a specific conspiracy theory in mind that'd be good to use as like an anecdote?
Kind of like Roswell specifically, because like that
Oh
was a
hell yeah.
big deal, and that was a
Yeah.
lot of people, and
That's a
there's a
good
lot
one.
of topics. But then like the JFK assassination, and like even the moon landing. But there's like some of these that like you'd have to have a
Did you know
lot of
his
people
head just
quiet.
did that?
Oh, it's just magic. But yeah, I
It
want to
just
talk
did that.
about is the government, is it physically possible to organize enough people to keep a conspiracy theory like a secret?
Okay.
So I want to dive into that.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm kind of leaning in a couple different directions. I've been playing a little bit of Skyrim lately to break everything else up. So I might do something with Ulfric Stormcloak,
Oh hell yeah.
or
What's
something
the
with.
best?
Oh my god, yeah.
His
And
effectiveness
racism,
as a
yay.
military leader.
Or I was gonna do something with like the. Yeah, no, fuck the elves. That's part of the
Yeah,
reason
Hey,
why
fuck the elves.
I chose him, because I was just like,
yeah,
hey
elves are
man,
bad.
this is cool. Um, genocide. Not cool. All right. Or it was gonna be I'm reading a book on like the history of English, but like it's not from like a linguistic approach. It's from as if English was a person. So like it's like tales. It starts with like how it begins, how it ends, and like um. Hold on, I got it right here. I'm gonna read the back, just for simplicity. From its humble beginning as a minor German dialect to its current status as a global power spoken by over a billion people, English has proved itself democratic, ever-changing, and ingenious. Holy shit! It is an assimilation of other cultures. It remains the beating heart of international medicine, industry, and diplomacy. Yada yada. So like how it starts off, how it's like crazy divorce with other languages happen, stuff like that. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Takes into consideration a bunch of different other cultures and stuff like that too. So either video game guy or words. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do
I would
the
say
Porque no las
words.
dos.
I could do
Oh, why not
Ulfric,
both? Yeah.
the next one, not this one, but the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, write it down. That's a good one. I I I got one more idea for you guys to think about and come back when we talk about this next week. What is the largest animal that you could take in a fight? That you could fight and win?
Giraffe.
Well, no, I don't want to hear your answers now. So I want to hear
Well, it's a giraffe.
if what's it? Okay, they're big, but so with just your hands. So you naked in a stadium with what animal? Could you beat with your hands? What's the largest animal you think you could beat, or what animal? And then I want to know with like a Bowie knife, with like a classic fighting knife, and then with a spear, like a Spartan spear from 300.
It's
What
still a
what
giraffe.
this for all three?
Well, I
Yeah.
can't exactly fight a blue whale.
But yeah, but what's the like the biggest, scariest animal you think you could take in a fight with A, your fist, B, a knife, and C, a spear?
Okay. So like, is that good?
Topics.
So for the next week,
I will have an
are we
answer.
supposed to say this after our topic? Oh,
Yeah, so come in and like,
like oh, intro. Good,
oh no,
good,
we'll just
good
talk
intro.
about it
That'll be
next
our
week.
Um,
intro.
Yeah,
maybe you guys are gonna.
yeah, yeah.
So because you're playing Skyrim again, have you ever seen Dova Bear?
No, I'm like what?
I'll take that
No.
resounding silence as a no. If you have not seen Dova Bear and you are listening to this and you like Skyrim, you need to play Dova Bear.
Yeah.
But with
Okay.
that, we probably should start wrapping it up, or wrap it up after our wrap up.
Yes.
Yee yee rapper woo woo.
So thanks for listening. I hope we didn't kill your brain cells because I'm pretty sure mine are dead after that one.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hashtag
Yes.
clickbait, hashtag YouTube, whatever.